Hello and welcome to the Slingshot channel. A few days ago I showed you this new knife of mine. So, see, it works like a snake and it actually wraps around your fingers like so. And I had a ton of feedback that I would like to address in today's video, because I really think this knife has a ton of potentials. First of all, I made a new version. This version here. Pretty cool, huh? So this version actually is still wood, but it's now painted for a more realistic look. And this would be more like a version for combat. So it has a typical karambit blade here, and also it has like a little, pry tool at the end. Why is that not a second blade? Because if it would be a second blade, then it would be almost impossible to draw quickly, since you would need two sheaths. And then how do you really draw it quickly, and how do you carry it? So this would still work just with a normal sheath here, and this is not sharp, so that's fine, but you can also mightily, attack with it. And of course, also did some changes that I announced. For example, as you can see, this here is more pronounced now, so that when you hold the thing, that it rests between your index finger and your thumb. So this means that it cannot really budge here, so you have it firmly under control. So this way you can really slice hard, very hard, in kind of any direction. Now, one of the main things that people said is because this is a knife that you cannot take off, because see, it jams against the joints here, so you can really not forcibly take it out. Now, a lot of people said, what happens when you need to take it off? For example, because a cop asks you to do this politely while you stare down the muzzle of his gun. Well, this is very simple, because all you need to do is you need to stretch your fingers a little bit, then you take your thumb and your index finger, you turn this slightly, and look what happens. So you can slide it off really, really quickly. So, if you really need to do this quickly, you can drop it within a fraction of a second, just like any knife. Then a lot of people ask me if it's also possible to hold it the other way. And of course you can do this. So that's not a problem, you can hold it this way too. It works very much the same way, and it also cannot fall off. So if you prefer like a normal karambit style, it's really not a problem. As long as you hold your fist closed, this is a very, very secure way to hold the knife. And you can still, again, you have full dexterity, you can type, you can play the piano if you can play the piano, you can grab someone and really pull hard. So this is ideal for these purposes. A lot of people also said that would be great for, like as a utility knife, for example, if you work as, as a butcher, or maybe if you're just working in the fish industry. So you need a sharp knife, but you also need the dexterity of your hands. So at any time you can cut and then go back to normal work. So this would also work great as a utility knife for that purpose, I guess. Now today what I specifically want to address is, a lot of people said it's going to break your fingers. Why would it break my fingers? I mean, the thing is that, you can even twist it and it can't break my fingers. You can see, you can twist it around and it won't break my fingers. Because that's not a ring. There's no ring in the whole thing. It cannot really break my fingers. And even if I twist it like this, how could it break my fingers? It's just not gonna happen. But to find out, I made a special version that I can really use to demonstrate how much force you could actually generate with this knife in your hand. So I made this version. It's still in wood, because I think that if I really abuse it and wood holds, then steel will absolutely hold. So this is just not sanded, so it's a little bit more rough edged than the original version, just to make it extra hard. And the way how you use this is just like the normal knife. Everything is the same, and including the way how you can take it off. So everything is just the same, but this has blunt edges and I stabilize them with screws. So this allows me to hammer it hard against something solid, to simulate like the hardest stabbing motion that I can do. Because if I do this with the wooden blade, simply the blade would snap off, and that would be it. Okay, and here is my opponent. A solid stone wall. And I'm gonna hammer at it like so, just like I would try to stab someone as hard as I can. And let's see what that is doing to my hand. So I'm holding it on really firmly. Okay, it's not a problem at all. Okay, let me turn it around. Oops. So maybe it was a failure because the wood broke, but I'm very sure that steel would not have broken from this impact. But what you can see is that my fingers are absolutely intact, and I was able to really hit the wall very hard. Much harder of an impact than I would ever experience when I would use it to stab, you know, something that has living tissue. One of the things people said would concern them very much is the hand size. Now I gave it to a few people in the meantime, and yes, I have really thick, meaty fingers, and people with smaller fingers were able to use it just fine, but what didn't really work is the locking thing. So, you know, because their joints are thinner than mine, and so you can't push it over their joints. You can't do this with mine. Now the thing is that would be easy because I could just give them some leather thong that you can wrap around to make it more tight, and this way one size would fit all, pretty much, maybe except someone has really small hands. So what do you think? Would that be a solution that you guys could accept? So, you know, make them all in a size big enough for meaty fingers, and then use a little bit of leather, maybe 1 or 2 layers, depending on how small your fingers are, so that you can customize this way. Let me know. We now have established that this is viable. You can really use it to, you know, to punch something hard with it, stab something really hard with it, and it won't break your fingers at all. And we also established that it's fairly easy to take it off if you have to. We also now know that it's not going to break your finger. That won't happen. This is not a knuckle duster knife where your fingers are completely trapped. Your fingers still have individual movements. So my question is, what direction would you like me to take this? I mean, would you like me to explore the combat side of it some more, which also means that in many countries, including Germany, you can't EDC it? Or should I turn this into like a utility knife, maybe a fillet knife, something like this? Or a survival knife with a drop point blade maybe? Would you want me to turn this into a super light and very short, very small knife, or into something maybe even bigger? I need to give this to Mythbusting very soon because they have offered to make a prototype for me quickly. So let me know in the comments, that would be great. So the 5th iteration wooden Midgard snake. Let me know what you think about it. Otherwise, I hope you like this. Thanks and bye bye.